Guys, this is Comic Uno, and today I'm doing Comic Uno's Best Comics of the Week. And this is the show where I review all the comics I read this week in one show. We go least favorite to best pick of the week and everything in between. And before I get started, at the end of the video, we talk about the viewer's pick of the week. So in the comments below, let me know your pick of the week for a chance to be featured. Also, be sure to like this video. It does give the channel a big bump, so appreciate that. Now, next week is San Diego Comic-Con, so I most likely won't have a review, but you never know will end up happening. But I have a feeling I won't have a review next week. But let's jump in. We have a pretty big haul this week with 14 comics, and number 14 is actually the topic of the video, and that is Post Malone's Big Rig issue 1. I'm a huge Post Malone fan. I love his music, even went to his concert. I really just enjoy his whole vibe, so I was very excited for this comic. But for this one, I just felt like it was a genre that wasn't particularly for me. The constructive criticism I have for it is it feels like an ash can, honestly. It feels like a little bit of unfinished comic where you have the black and white that I don't know if it completely fits the vibe or if you need a black and white comic book for this. I don't know if it uses the grayscale to an extent. And then also I don't love the two chapters. It makes it feel like this should have been a graphic novel. It was most likely a graphic novel, but here's single issues anyway. So it feels a little unfinished in that way. So that's the constructive criticism. The other side is just the tone, and that's a personal preference to me. It is very much an action book where you're getting exactly what it is from the title. This guy, he's a trucker. He has a big rig. He meets another girl or a couple of girls who are along for the zombie adventure, and that's the story. It's a very action-heavy issue, and I feel like you jump into this world very quickly and you don't get to learn about the characters. So for me, it was harder to connect to the zombie apocalypse world that we've seen before, and there just wasn't that whimsy I think it was going for. So personally, I think you could skip this one. Maybe there'll be a graphic novel. Maybe we'll even get a colored version at some point. I don't know, but I just felt like it was a little unpolished, sadly. And this is from someone who was really looking forward to the book. So giving that 2 stars, and that is number 14. Moving on to number 13, This Ends Tonight, issue 1. If you like Kill Bill, you might enjoy this vibe. I think it was a little harder because it goes out in chapters. You know, obviously Kill Bill's a full movie. You get into that vibe. Here, it's one chapter where they're throwing a lot of information at you, especially the sister dynamic and their mystical background. And I honestly wanted more from Vegas. I think that's a very interesting setting. There's so much you could do with it. And the artwork was very close up, so it was hard to really embrace that ambiance in that setting. And Jay Lee's artwork just didn't really do it for me. But I do feel like I know what tone it was going for. I just don't feel like it completely succeeded in that. So giving that 2.5 stars, and that is number 13. Moving on to number 12, book I re-picked up because an arc had finished, and that is Wonder Woman issue 23. Very similar to the arc we were getting before, not the Batman one, but the one before that, where we get to see Wonder Woman dealing with her baby stuff, her, you know, losing Steve situation, all while this girl that Wonder Woman kind of teams up with keeps talking about mice. That's like half the issue. It's supposed to be poetic, and it's very much in Tom King's wheelhouse. So if you've enjoyed that in the past, you're going to continue to like that. For me, that's the side of Tom King's writing I don't really love, is the repetitiveness of it, that feeling in the arc as well. But I like the art. I want to see where it goes, but it's still kind of back there for me. So giving that 3 stars, and that is number 12. Moving on to number 11, which is Absolute Flash issue 5. Different artists, and I do think that takes you away a little bit from the story. But, you know, I liked the Wally thinking he's a villain aspect of the story. I thought that was fun. It's a little bit of a slower story. It really is setting up the pieces for other things like the Rogues Gallery and Wally's father and Linda. So not much happens in this issue, but I think the narrative was probably the strongest part here, but I do miss the old artist for this series. Giving that one 3 stars, and that is number 11. Moving on to number 10, I'm sad to see this a little lower, and that is Predator vs. SpiderMan issue 4 is the finale of the series. It kind of goes out in the whimper. It was very much an action issue where they defeat the Skinners and the Predator family, and then Peter reunites with Mary Jane, and that was it. I feel like there was a missing epilogue. I felt like it was a little rushed. It honestly probably needed another issue, just kind of finish things out. But also, I mean, I guess it did start as an action issue, so I guess it makes sense that it ended here. I just felt like it ended a little flat. So giving that 3 stars, and that is number 10. Moving on to number 9, which is the Tin Can Society issue 7. I like this series. I am upset to see how delayed it's been getting. I don't know if I don't think it's Diamond issues. I'm guessing it's just an artist or writer scheduling conflict. But I feel like it took away from that tension, and also it took away from the tension, obviously, is the dead corpse being alive. This whole issue is like, okay, this is how I'm alive. And it's like, oh, that definitely takes away from the murder mystery if the main character is still around. So I do feel like it took a little bit away from the story, but I'm enjoying the cast and I'm still enjoying the art a lot. So that's why it hit the middle of the pack. So giving that one 3 stars, and that's number 9. Moving on to number 8, which is Absolute Batman, issue 10. I liked the tone a lot for this one. I liked Batman just getting ready to fight Bane and what that looks like. I was a little confused at the doctor logs because at first I thought it was his mom, and I actually think I would have liked it more if it was his mom. In the end, it ends up just being someone from Arkham. So I want a little bit more from those players. That's probably the most interesting aspect to me, is obviously Martha being alive. That's what makes this story different than other Batman stories. And then just a supporting cast that I don't feel like the book has played with as much because they're focusing more on those villains. It was an okay issue for me. It's a Bane issue I've kind of seen before, honestly, but I liked the vibe, and I'm curious to see where the rest of the cast will go. So giving that 3 stars, and that's number 8. Moving on to number 7, which is Dread the Hall H, issue 1. It's a fun comedy book about San Diego Comic-Con. I will say I think people who have been to Comic-Con will enjoy this the most. It's very deep cuts about that specific convention and Hall H and what fans do there, but maybe you'll get an insight of what San Diego's like as well. I do think there's parts that are very long-winded. Like there's a joke about this guy who keeps talking, and that is the joke, but there's like 4 parts of it, so I'm like, okay, it's good. We're kind of living the joke right now. But I had a good time with it. I do think there's times where it got a little bogged down, but I think the concept's really fun. And I like the ending write-up about why they made this comic, and the story about waiting in Hall H with Twilight fans I thought was interesting. And I think that was the most genuine aspect of the book. But I think it's a fun one to put on your pull list if you have room for it, but I don't think it's like a must pick up. So giving that one 3 stars, and that is number 7. Moving on to number 6, which is Giant Size House of M issue 1. This one pleasantly surprised me because I have not really liked the annuals that X-Men has been doing in this world they've been building with Miss Marvel, but I liked Miss Marvel and Kitty a lot here. I think their dynamic was interesting, and I think the places it went with where mutants are was interesting. Did it give me enough to be like, I gotta continue these annuals? No, the annuals are kind of expensive and they feel very disconnected to the X-Men, but I had a fun time with this specific story, and if you like the House of M, I think it was a twist on that original story. So giving that 3.5 stars, and that is number 6. Moving on to number 5, which is Phantom Road, issue 14. It's a continuation of our main story of what's going on in this world of polar bears and weird skin monsters. And we get the heart of our detective character and her dad in her childhood. And that's pretty much the issue. There's some good character moments, there's some good movement in the mythology, but there's not much else in this issue. It feels very similar to the previous issues that I'm sure is building up to an even bigger moment. So giving that 3.5 stars, and that's number 5. Moving on to number 4, which is Batman and Robin and Batman, Jason Todd, issue 2. I don't know how to feel about this book because I like reading it. I just enjoy Jeff Lemire's writing. I think the artwork is very distinct to Batman and works for the story. But then there's this like voice in the back of my head that says, I've seen this before. Like I know this Jason Todd story. But then there's another side is like, oh, this is for people that don't know much about Jason Todd. And it's kind of a newer spin on him with him teaming up with this almost grifter looking character, but not with the same colors. I like that aspect and I want to see where that goes, and I enjoy the writing, so it really depends on you wanting to go along for the ride or not. But I will say it's not like rewriting history in any way. Like I do feel like it's a Jason Todd story we've seen before. So giving that one 4 stars, and that is number 4. Moving on to number 3, which is I Was a Fashion School Serial Killer, issue 4. I just really like the relationship between our serial killer and her friend and how much she will do for this friend. I think it jumps the shark a little bit at the end when this teacher is like a kidnapping thing. I thought that was very weird. I didn't really see that coming. I guess they're trying to build up bad girl to be that and ends up being the teacher, but I liked everything around it. I enjoyed her killing that boyfriend. I enjoy, obviously, again, that relationship between her and her best friend, the vibe of the book, so that is why it's still pretty high up there for me. So giving that 4 stars, and that is number 3. Moving on to number 2, under the radar book for me, and that is The Death of Silver Surfer, issue 2. I think it's Greg Pak at his best. I like Silver Surfer a lot as a character, but I always am like surprised at how much I like him. It's not something I always think about. I really enjoyed this. I think the idea of death and Silver Surfer's place in the world is played well here, and I like the small moments. I like him trying to save these kids while these bigger moments of the Marvel Universe are happening around him. I just feel like the tone fits really well for him. And it's something that's been explored before, but it feels like a different angle and feels something new. I've been enjoying this one a lot. So giving that 4 stars, and that is number 2. Moving on to number 1, which is Exceptional X-Men, issue 11. Honestly, because I just had a really good time with reading this one. It's the anniversary of the team getting together. We get to see the antics of the teens, but I like the overall scope of Kitty's journey, where Kitty's like, I wanted to be left alone. I don't even know if I liked that I was a child soldier with the X-Men, and I don't know what that means for my future. And we get to see that bled through with her teammates, obviously with her girlfriend as well, who's not really her girlfriend right now, and then she gets sucked into this vortex. You're like, okay, that's gonna be a really fun story that you know is gonna challenge her to a point to figure out where am I as a person, and I'm really excited for that prospect as well. The artwork was a little different, but overall, like after the first 3 pages, you kind of settle into the art because it's pretty similar to the other artists. So overall, giving that one 4 stars. That is my pick of the week. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Let me know in the comments below what your pick of the week was. Last week's pick of the week was actually the same as mine, which was Supergirl. And here's some comments about that. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. This is Comic Uno, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.